The multi-link cabinet shown contains two shelves, the top for power supply and a sliding drawer for batteries. To unlock the drawer, simply pull up on the locking pin. As the drawer slides out, it will lock itself into place. The main power breaker is located on the left side of the cabinet. The on position is at the top, the off is at the bottom. The ground lug and the external pin are in the back of the cabinet. This is where your connection to the cable plant is located. Inside the multi-link cabinets, a PIM-G is used to connect the power supply to the cable plant. It has two modes, main and auxiliary. The auxiliary is used to provide power from a service supply without having to turn the power off. Simply connect your service supply to auxiliary input, move the switch to auxiliary, change the power supply, and move switch back to main. Multi-link cabinets are equipped with a duplex outlet kit. This is a dock 1. Before installing batteries, be sure to slide the bottom drawer out for easier access. When placing batteries, be sure to have positive terminals facing the front. The next step is to install your jumpers across the terminals. Once you have hooked up your jumpers, you can now feed the power harness through the back opening to the top shelf of the cabinet. When installing the temperature probe, take 2 pieces of tape and attach it in between 2 of the batteries. Once your power harness and temperature probe are set up, you can close your bottom drawer. In order to install the cabinet indicators properly, the red indicator goes on the bottom and the green on top. Connect the black wire to the brass terminal and the red wire to the white terminal. For the green indicator, connect the black wire to the brass terminal and the green wire to the white terminal. Now you are ready to install the MPPlus. Place it on the top shelf. The MPPlus is equipped with 2 outputs. The output voltage is indicated on this panel. Currently, both are set at 90 volts. Each output can be set to 60, 75, or 90 volts, independent of each other, and can be changed through the access panel. Remove 4 screws and faceplate. The 2 connectors control which tap the output is connected to. We can change the output from 90, 75 to 60 volts by pulling a connector off and placing it into the desired slot. For output number 2, we do the same. Here both outputs are set at 60 volts. The MPPlus is capable of having 2 separate output voltages. Now output 1 is at 90 volts and output 2 is at 60 volts. There are 4 circuit breakers on the front of the power supply. The main breaker for the battery is used to attach a battery to the power supply. It is also used to protect the power supply from an overcurrent condition. The two output breakers are located at the top of the row. The bottom two breakers are for line input 1 and line input 2. On a 240 power supply, the breakers for line 1 is on line 1 and line 2 is on line 2. In a 120 power supply, line 1 is line 1 and line 2 is neutral. All circuit breakers trip when 20 amps is exceeded. On the front of the power supply, there is a row of test points. The far left is the output voltage. The center pin is the neutral between the outputs. The output current is located in the middle of the test points. The center test point is neutral or common. Battery string voltage is measured on the last two test points. The MPPlus has 4 connectors above the test points: a temp sensor, cabinet indicator, tamper switch, and a serial status monitoring connector. Temp sensor is used for battery charge, float voltage, temperature compensation. Cabinet indicators control the LED indicators located outside of the cabinet. Tamper switch is used to indicate if the cabinet door is open or closed. The status monitor reset button is used to reset the serial port. If it loses communication with the transponder, reset the status monitoring port. Using a non-conductive object, press the switch on the circuit board. The MPPlus has an LED panel to indicate if the line, battery, charger, sensor, 2 voltage outputs, and a battery test are running properly. AC line is applied, the line LED is accepted. The test LED goes through a startup sequence. Once the batteries are turned on, the battery LED turns green. The battery LED and charger LED are green. The power supply is in float mode. Line LED has 3 valid states. Red means line is low or not acceptable. Amber means there is a timeout period before the power supply will go back to line mode and the line is qualifying. Green means line is acceptable. There are 3 valid states for battery. Red indicates no connection or on a 36 volt string below 28 volts. Amber indicates the batteries are being discharged. Green indicates the batteries are acceptable. Charger has 3 valid states. Red indicates the charger is off. It will also be red if voltage is below 28 volts. Amber indicates charger is in bulk mode, and green indicates charger is in float mode. The temperature sensor has 2 valid states. Red indicates there is a sensor fault. Green indicates the sensor is connected and operating normally. The output LEDs have 2 valid states, green and red. Red indicates the output voltage is low or that the output circuit breaker is open. Green indicates there is a full voltage at the output. A red test LED indicates the batteries have failed the last test. In battery mode, the line is off and LED is red. The battery LED is amber. The charger is off and LED is red. The sensor is green, indicating the temperature sensor is running properly, and both output LEDs are green, indicating that there is output. Take the black and white wire from the PIM and connect the wire to output number 1 on the power supply. Place the access wire behind the power supply. Take the battery harness and plug it into the battery input. Next, take the line and plug it into the outlet. This leaves us room for the status monitoring equipment. Connect the cabinet indicator harness into the cabinet indicator connector. Then connect the temperature sensor in the temp sensor connector. Now we are ready to give power to the MPPlus. Turn outside breaker on. Turn on the DC input with the battery circuit breaker. All lights will turn green. The green cabinet indicator shows the power supply has output and is running from line. The red light is off because it's not running on battery. When a green and red light comes on, it indicates that the supply is running off batteries. If both lights are off, there is no power supply from the line or batteries. After completing the installation, you want to verify the output and battery readings. First, measure output voltage for output number 1. Connect black probe to center and red to output number 1. Turn the meter to voltage AC. Our reading is 87.9 for output number 1. To measure output 2, move red probe to output number 2. The output number 2 is set at 61.2 volts. Leave meter set at voltage AC. To measure output current, place black probe in center test point and place the red in the left test point. For output current number 1, we have 0.42 volts, which can be read as 4.2 amps. To measure output number 2, place red probe to right test point. Since there is nothing connected, our reading is only picking up noise. Next, set meter to voltage DC to measure batteries. The black probe goes to negative and red probe goes to positive, and we have a battery voltage of 41.5. When you want to run a battery test to see if batteries are capable for supporting a load, press the battery test button. The green light indicates a positive test and we have a battery voltage of 38.6. To check individual battery voltages, apply the probes to the proper terminals. Our first battery has 12.8 volts. Our second, 12.8 volts. And third, 12.7 volts. To terminate the test, simply press the battery test button again or allow it to time out on its own. This concludes our session for the maintenance of the Multilink MPPlus.